Okay guys, so yeah, step forward again, got the cylinder head back on, and yeah, it's not an easy thing to throw around, that's for sure, especially when you're trying to not scratch any of the new paint on the barrels and the cylinder head. It actually says in the service sheet, the idea is you fix the tunnel and the gland nut and the two push rods in the tube. You then put the whole lot on and button it up, but yeah, trying to do that and not damage anything ain't easy. So, but yeah, it's on. We set the rockers, the tappets, another frustrating job on these because everything keeps spinning and moving, and there's not a lot of access in there to get your spanner onto the lock nuts. But anyway, it's done. 3,000 there and thereabouts. So we need to get the carburetor on next. Exhaust. Yeah, not far off now. Got the valve lifter on, the rocker head. I've forgotten the damn gaskets for these. They didn't come in the kit I had, or I used them last time. We've got the oil feeds on. I've reused the old banjo bolts. And they're very, oh, you can see yeah, they're a bit scabby. So I'll have to invest in a couple of new ones of them, but for now they're okay, I can tighten them up. We've got the return line on. We've got a spark plug in. Yeah, the valve lifter set up. Being careful not to interfere with the valve when it's not in use. I think the actual cable's a little bit on the long side for it, but again, we can have a look into that later. Yeah, these cable ties are just for now. I'm going to get some of those John Bull replica ones eventually. Just to make it look a bit neater. They're a bit scabby on the cable ties sometimes. But yeah, we've got the there's the feed, which comes off the return, so you're not going to get a lot of pressure on that, are you? Comes off the return pipe and then feeds the rockers. But yeah, we'll get this carburetor on, get some oil in this tank. Should put a sign on there really, and get the fuel tank on, exhaust. We're away. Yeah, I'll tell you one thing though, I have just kicked, well not kicked, but turned the engine over. It doesn't feel like a lot of compression at the minute. I know obviously it's got to bed in and warm up, but I was expecting a little bit more. I hope I've got the timing right and everything, I'm sure I have. But yeah, it doesn't feel like a lot of compression. I might just, before I start it, just put a gauge on it, just for out of interest, what sort of compression of freshly rebuilt, you know, engines, cylinder, you know, barrels actually making. It doesn't feel a lot at the minute. Anyway, keep moving on. Okay, so we're pretty much there. I've cracked on, and yeah, so carburetor on, and yeah, you can lose an hour messing around with one of them. You think, you know, it's only a couple of nuts on the studs, but messing around with the wires and the throttle cable and the choke cable and the springs, yeah, time disappears pretty quick when you're messing with carburetors. Obviously this is the re-sleeved one I got done. You can buy these new, and if this gives any trouble, I might just have to. They're very, you know, they're expensive, but apparently they are good quality now. These Amel Berlins carburetors. You know, there's only so much you can do, but we shall give him a whirl. I've got it springing back at the minute on the adjuster, so the springs, you know, got tension on it. One thing I didn't realise when I started getting into these old British bikes, originally the idea was If that'll focus. It's not going to focus, is it? Sort of. Yeah, so anyway, the idea was you actually had tension on the twist grip, so you could hold it in position. So obviously you can use your hands then to signal right, I guess. I think it was an MOT thing in the UK later on where they demanded it. You know, if you let go of the throttle, it springs back. But yeah, if you were reading the old instructions manuals, I was like, how do you set the throttle, you know? But yeah, that's the idea of the things. I didn't realise that when I got into it, but anyway, I digress. So carburetor's on, exhaust is on. It's not as good a fit in this cylinder head for some reason. Again, if you haven't watched any of the others, this cylinder head was off another bike, and the fit isn't as good. It's trying to work its way out a little bit. I'm thinking this is actually the original exhaust, because on this, I should have taken a picture, on this bottom of the downpipe, it actually got a B31 stamp on it. The silencer, I did get a replacement from Armours, but I've actually put the old one back on for now. This has a baffle in it that has badly corroded, but I think this might be the original silencer and downpipe. So yeah, he's on for the minute, but I'll probably put the Armours one on because it's, like I said, the baffle's collapsed, it's all rusty inside, but just to get this started. Yeah, speedo cable on. One thing with these cables on the bike, they've obviously got some age to them. You know, these are pretty old cables, but they do seem, all of them, a bit over length. The speedo cable as well. So he drops down, he runs round, back round the oil tank, and then in. It does seem a bit long. The nice thing about these parts books for this vintage bike, they actually give the cable lengths, which is kind of cool. So something I might revisit at some point. And so they have got a bit of age to them, these things. Most of them have. But yep, it's all rigged up, choke and throttle slide. The other thing I noticed, and I mentioned this in one of the other videos, the barrel was a lot glossier, the paint, and I think they actually gave me the wrong one. I was after the flat matte black, or the flat black as VHT call it. And when you look on the cylinder head, it's got a different sheen to the barrel, which is damned annoying. That's what I was after. Obviously the barrel's more of a satin. I didn't check the label, so that's probably why that happened. You can't really tell, but well, you can there, you can see. It's a lot darker, shinier. But overall, it was what I was trying to achieve. You know, none of it's had paint apart from the engine plates, which you can't see, the barrel and the cylinder head. Oh, and the centre stand. Those are the only things that have had paint. So it pretty much looks as it did in November, just hopefully a lot fresher. So what we've got to do now, we've got to get some oil in the tank. You won't be able to see, I doubt of any, but I did de-rust the tank. There's just a bit of 2-stroke oil in there just to protect it, which I'll just flush out. Yeah, I de-rusted that with some of the is it the Built Hammer Deoxy or something. They're all much of a muchness, you know. You mix up the solution, warm it up, and let it fizz away for a bit. The electrics all plumbed in. I'd be curious what the wire routing from new would have been, because there's no holes in this rear mudguard piece, the removable part, to put the wire through. Is that how it was from new? Did they just, you know, it's got a Lucas bullet connector. And once again digressing, but this tail light unit I bought, I forget the number now, it's the proper bayonet one for this year. It even has the original cloth tinned wire with the lacquer finish on it. So it's tinned copper wire all the way through, a cloth outer, and then it's lacquered. But it is starting to degrade, like most of them did. You know, it is 70 odd years old. Don't know if that'll focus. And the rest of it is the PVC stuff, modern PVC. What I would like to do is make a wiring loom out of this stuff, which I think you can get. You can get the cloth cloth wrapped wire, but I don't know if you can get it with the lacquer on it, the sort of the gloss finish. Something I'll look into one day. Yeah. Go on, let's turn the lights on. I even got the battery connected. Ooh, full 7 amps. That needs re-silvering. There we go. There's the rear illumination. Can't get a primitive than that, can you really? There we go. I'll turn this bit off. There you go. So yeah, clean out the fuel tank. Again, I put some bit of petrol and 2-stroke oil in. Stop it rusting while it was. Oh, there she is down there. Bobbin on, oil in the tank, and we'll give it a kick. Get outside and give it a kick. Again, I'm still a bit worried about this lack of compression. It does feel a little bit weak, but I'm not going to start tearing into stuff. I'm pretty sure I've got it right, so might just be a case of it needs to bed into the barrel, the rings into the barrel. But yeah, less talking. Let's get it together. Right, so tank back on. We've got oil. We've got fuel tank on. One thing I don't have is one of those little reserve tanks, which would be really handy for this, because I have left the rocker box cover off just to make sure I've got oil supply, and the timing tunnel. I'm also going to crack loose the banjos on this side just to make sure I've got some. You can't see them there, can you, up there? Obviously the timing case is off for the time being. You can probably tell I'm getting quite excited now. Yeah, it's a lot of effort in it to get to this point. We're going to wheel it outside and give it a kick. We've got oil, that's the main thing. What I'm going to do as well is take out the little spring and ball bearing in there, which is to, I think that is to stop, well, help stop wet sumping. But I found when I first started messing with this bike, if you take that out, the oil flows to the engine a bit quicker, a bit easier. Doesn't have to overcome the spring, I guess. On the subject of oil, which is always a good one, I've always used these guys in the UK, Westway lubricants, for the family car and the motorbikes, and I've gone for this SAE 50 classic oil, non-detergent mineral oil. Yeah, the idea behind not using detergent is really for the older engines, so you don't start releasing the, you know, all the sludge and what have you. With a fresh rebuilt engine, I was actually thinking of putting some 2050s in it. Again, Westway lubricants do all that sort of thing. In the Matchless, we've got 2040 in it. Again, mineral oil. But yeah, just for the time being, I'm going to stick with the SAE 50. Yeah, I was thinking maybe slightly lighter. There's summer now in the UK. We've got balmy 22 degrees Celsius. Yeah, So we got oil, we got fuel. I'm thinking to myself now, what have I missed? I don't think so. I don't think we missed anything. Yeah, okay, we're going to wheel this out into the sunshine and give it a kick, which I'll probably put into another video.